And we're live. Appreciate everybody tuning in today. I've got Mr. Reb Beach from Whitesnake, Black Swan, Winger, so many other awesome things. What's up, Reb? How you doing
What's
today?
up? Hey, Brandon. Doing really good. Good to see you today.
Absolutely. I appreciate you taking some time out of your day to come hang out with me for a minute.
It was my pleasure. I just got through with my last guitar lesson for the day, and it's Friday, so I'm looking forward to the weekend.
That's fantastic. So I saw that you had been doing the guitar lessons for a while. Is that something that's keeping you pretty busy right now during the time off the road?
It's the way that I'm paying the bills, honestly, and it's
Perfect.
been great. I had no idea that I would enjoy it so much, and I mean, half the time all we do is talk, and there are people from all over the world. Like I've got Mexico and Athens and New Zealand and Japan and
Oh,
uh,
wow.
yeah, and I've got one couple that all they do is talk. They don't play guitar. They just sit there and drink Guinness. They live in Ireland, and they
Okay.
just drink Guinness while I tell them stories about Coverdale and Don Dokken.
Well, that's perfect. Yeah, that's worth the price of admission alone. Let
I'm
alone
like
if we can steal some licks from you as well. That's like the perfect package.
it's really going really well. I love doing lessons, but I really miss being out there and traveling and doing as we all do, you know.
Absolutely. And that's something that's going to be cool whenever everything goes back to normal. Is there is so much music being released right now that there's going to be so many tours that happen when the gates kind of get open for everybody to go back out there.
I know, isn't that something that everyone's going to have a new album?
Yeah, it's. I think you're going to see some really awesome tour packages because you're going to have so many bands trying to go out on the road at the same time that you're going to have to get some bands playing together because of the flux of bands trying to play at the same time.
Well, we can only hope that the thing is that in our line of work, we need to pack the building to make money.
Of
Like
course.
when Winger plays a club, if we sell 60% of the club, no one's going to make any money. So that's a little unsettling, but I try and keep a positive attitude that the vaccines will come and we'll be packing the arenas again.
Yeah, of course. There is, like you said, light at the end of the tunnel right now with vaccines coming out, and everybody's got their own opinions on all that. But the fact of the matter is that it is going to be helpful in the long run. So, that's it's going to be something that it's going to help us get back out there doing what we do.
I was talking to Pilson, who I did Black Swan with, who you said you like that record, and
Of course.
yeah, and man, he's going out with Foreigner, and they're doing arenas, and they're doing social distancing in the arenas. Like they sell
Okay.
certain little sections for groups of people, and they keep them all social distance. But if you go on Foreigner's website and look, man, they're booked. Like
And now
April,
these are dates here in the States or what?
yeah, yeah, Texas and
Okay.
like the Midwest, just March, April, May. So I'm jealous
Yeah.
because all of my gigs have been canceled with Winger. We have one gig in Winger, which is kind of a drag because we have to put together the whole thing and rehearse and get out there in Corbin, Kentucky, coming up on March 13th.
Okay, that's like 45 minutes from me. I might have to make the trip down to
Oh,
come watch you
Brandon,
guys.
come on down, man. It's us and the Bullet Boys and Firehouse at the
Oh,
Corbin
perfect.
Arena. Um, so we'll see how that goes.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm there. I'll see you guys down there.
Oh, right on. Okay, awesome, awesome.
Yeah, I had no idea about that. So I had seen that at that same place you're talking about, Steel Panther just announced a show there as well. So, there's another band that's out there, kind of grabbing the bull by the horns right now.
Yeah, I love those guys. They're all really great guys in that band. Funny. Oh
Yeah.
my God. I am
Yeah.
just in hysterics whenever I talk to either of those guys, the guitar player and the singer. They're beautiful guys.
Yeah, dude, and they are fantastic players as well.
Yeah,
The whole band.
really good.
Satchel was the real deal on guitar.
Hell yeah, yeah. I mean, I saw them when they were the Van Halen tribute band.
Oh, Atomic Punks, absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah,
they
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 were
kicked
awesome.
major ass.
Major ass.
And, Ralph did such a good Roth that when they were going to do the Edelman Smile reunion, originally he was going to be the one singing at the gig until Roth came down and was going to do the show.
Yep, I heard that.
Yeah, because you know, his Roth is just out of this world. He sounds more like David Lee Roth than David Lee Roth sounds
He
like
does.
David Lee Roth.
He does, and he's got his moves down and everything.
Yeah, it's perfect. Yeah, those guys are all fantastic musicians. Very cool. So we'll go ahead and jump into some of the questions I got for you. We were talking before we started about the new Black Swan record that came out, which features you, Robin McCauley, Jeff Pilson, and my bandmate from Minefield, Mr. Matt Starr. So kind of tell me how this project came about.
Sure, I was actually opening for Foreigner with Whitesnake. It was Whitesnake Foreigner a couple years ago.
Okay.
And Pilson does these projects with Frontiers Records, which is it's the biggest independent label in Europe, I think, based out of Italy, and that's what Winger's on, that's what Whitesnake's on, that's what
Of course, there's a lot of good bands signed to Frontiers.
Yeah, Def Leppard, Heart, you name it. They just signed up all the '80s bands. Anyway, so Pilson does projects with George Lynch, and other people. And so the president of that company was asking if Pilson wanted to do like a super group kind of thing. So he wanted to do it with Robin McCauley, who's his best friend. Like they have dinner like twice a week. Their families all are best friends. And he was on the tour with me and came and sat down in catering with me and said, do you want to put like a super group thing together for Frontiers? And we could write all the songs. I'm like,
Amazing.
yeah, great. I jumped at the chance because I wanted to write with Jeff again. We did Doc and we did Erase the Slate together, and that was a really good record, and we wrote really well together. We're a good writing team. So, I was all for it. And when we first got together to write, he said, okay, you're writing this record. And I'm like, what do you mean? And he said, well, give me what you got. You got guitar riffs. And so luckily I had like 50 ideas of old Winger stuff that we never used.
Perfect.
So the album, we wrote it in 10 days because all the guitar riffs were already written, and Pilson is this amazing arranger. So we were able to just bang that out. And then, when you got Robin McCauley singing, that guy can sing over anything, and it sounds amazing.
Fantastic voice, and almost 70 years old and can sing most people under a table.
And when we were filming that video, he actually was singing, and he was singing it spot on. Like it sounded exactly like the record. I couldn't believe it.
That's great. So I had Matt Starr on here recently, and we talked about this record as well. And I think he had mentioned that you guys had basically had the entire record recorded when he was brought in to put the drum parts on it. So talk to me a little bit about the decision to bring Matt Starr in to play drums on this and what it was like working with him.
I didn't work with him. I wasn't there.
Well, we'll just take this question and throw it right out the window.
No. So Matt and I have mutual friends, but I had never met him. Of course, I knew who he was, and I think we met once, maybe like an Ace Frehley show, but just really briefly. So I met him when we filmed the video or the videos for the thing. He was super cool. He's I wish I had his body.
The guy's in fantastic shape.
He really is, and he played great, and we got along good. And he actually offered to drive me back to the hotel, so we got to know each other on the drive, and got along. And so he texts me once in a while. We say hey and everything, but I've never really toured with him or anything. So hopefully one of these days we'll do some shows with Black Swan, because it would really be good. We all sing, all four of us sing, have strong voices.
Of course.
So that would be cool. And now it's that time to do a new Black Swan record. And it's kind of weird because I would have to fly to LA, which I feel a little strange about in these COVID times.
Of course.
But I'm probably going to do it very soon, maybe the end of March.
Okay, so you guys are definitely going to start working on a second Black Swan record soon.
Yeah, I've got all these riffs that Kip turned down for the new Winger record, so I'm hoping that Jeff likes those and we can, continue to do another Black Swan thing. I mean, we're under contract to do another album,
Okay.
so so why not? Everyone loved the first one so much. I don't think I've been complimented on a record uh, since The Mob, a great project I did called The
With
Mob.
Doug Pinnick,
That's
absolutely.
right. All right, Brandon. He does his homework. Thank
I'm
you
I'm
very
a
much.
huge King's X fan, so that's
Me
that's
too.
that's right up my alley. That was actually
Yeah,
one thing I was going to ask you about today was the mob.
yeah. The Mob I really liked, and I forget why I brought it up, but why did I bring it up
You
anyway?
hadn't got complimented on a
Oh
record.
yeah, I got a lot of compliments on the Mob record. And not since the Mob had I gotten so many compliments. Like everyone that has Black Swan loves Black Swan. No one's ever said I don't really like that record. It's like, man, that is a great record.
Oh yeah, man, dude, that is some powerhouse rock. Big Disaster. That's got to be top five rock songs of the last 20 years for me, man. And I'm
Well, I
not just
told
saying
him.
that because we're talking. All the elements we just mentioned, like Robin McCauley's voice, just an absolute powerhouse of a vocalist, especially for his age.
It is. I said, listen, whatever you do, don't call the album Big Disaster. We're not going to get good reviews.
Well, that would just be the headline alone would just be Big Disasters. So
Yeah, like Black Swan, Big Disaster.
yeah, that perfect clickbait though. They would get a lot of views on those articles.
Yeah.
Very cool. So we kind of segued into it a little bit. I said I was going to ask you about the mob. Like I said, I'm a huge King's X fan, so I want to know what it was like working with Doug Pinnick on that record.
So I'm a huge King's X fan too, and I had these songs, and Frontiers made us an offer for kind of a super group type thing, a lot like Black Swan. Um, and they wanted me to use a singer that was like a typical singer from Sweden, like, John the Mountain, that kind of guy.
Of
And,
course.
and I didn't want that. I was like, what about like Doug Pinnick, something amazing like Doug Pinnick? They
Of
weren't too
course.
crazy about it. They weren't crazy about the idea. And, I was hearing Doug Pinnick's voice over my straight ahead rock songs. When you hear Doug Pinnick, it's King's X, and so there's a lot of complicated stuff. It's tuned really low. It's progressive rock. This is straight ahead, standard pop, 80s rock. And I wanted to hear what his big giant voice would sound like over that. And it was brilliant. It just came out really, really cool, and it sold a bunch for Frontiers because they wanted another one. When they kind of said they didn't like it at first because they wanted, the mountain, they
Yeah.
wanted that stuff, and so I think they were pleasantly surprised when it sold really well, and that's a unique record for sure.
So would you be down to do a second record with those guys?
I would absolutely, yeah, why not?
Very cool. So I want to talk a little bit about Whitesnake while I've got you on here. So I know you guys just put out the Red, White, and Blues, the vinyls that you had, the compilations.
Yes,
Is
David put that out. Yes.
so is there anything happening as far as like original music with you guys? Any talks about putting a new record out with this lineup?
There hasn't been, not yet. David is doing these compilation things. That's where what he's focused on right now. He does really well with that stuff, and people eat it up. And
Vinyl
he
is huge
really,
right now, so that helps out as well.
what's that?
I said vinyl is huge right now, so that's definitely a good market to tap into.
He's brilliant with that stuff, man. He did a compilation video just released today of a song off of one of the records, Good to Be Bad, I think, Whipping
Okay.
Boy Blues. And just put together, he's got all this old footage, he collects everything, and he's got people filming all the time. And he's got this great footage, and he made a very cool video that got a lot of hits and likes and all that. He's the master of that, of just getting some old stuff together and making it sound new.
Of course, yeah, an absolute legend in the industry.
Oh my God, he's a legend. You know, the greatest times on stage, some of the greatest times on stage for me are when I would play "Still of the Night"
Okay.
with Coverdale. And he does that blood curdling scream.
Oh yeah,
Oh my God! And he'd do it right next to me. "Ah!" like oh my God!
that's
You know,
great.
the hairs would stand up, and I would feel like I made it. I would regress back to being 15 years old and listening to that stuff, and being just wanting to be a rock star. And there I was up on stage with Coverdale every night.
That's awesome. It's so cool hearing stories like that where guys like yourself still have that, fan perspective in the back of their head where it's you never lose that touch that you appreciate where you're at.
I do. I actually I went out in the audience one night, and when they kind of rush the stage when they first open the doors,
Yeah.
I went in front and with my hat on, and I stood right in front against the fence. And so everyone came and pressed up against me, and I heard what everyone was saying, and then so Doug Aldrich came out on stage kind of to mess with his amp a little bit,
Yeah.
and everyone around me's going, "That's Doug Aldrich! There's Doug Aldrich over there!" Like, "Oh my God, it's Doug Aldrich!" And so I remembered the feeling of being out there in the audience, and even the littlest thing like catching a glimpse of one of the musicians before the show behind the stage was so exciting. It made me remember what it feels like to be an audience member.
That's amazing. So I want to talk about one of your bandmates from Whitesnake. I've got Mr. Joel Hoaxer coming on Monday to talk about a few things. Talk to me a little bit about what your relationship with him is like and being in Whitesnake with him.
Oh, Joel is a funny guy. We spent a lot of time on the bus telling stories, and he does some funny voices, and he's got a really, really good sense of humor, and he's quite the guitar player. I mean, the guy's, he studied guitar like you wouldn't believe.
Absolutely.
Both of his parents were in orchestra. Like, I think his mom was a violinist, and
Okay.
they taught him the benefits of knowing how to practice, and being diligent with your routine. And this guy practices every single day. He'll play the entire set. I mean, he's focused, and he doesn't make mistakes. He plays everything absolutely, absolutely perfectly. It's really something to behold. The guy is a perfectionist and plays beautifully, and he can basically play anything on guitar that you ask him.
Absolutely.
He was in Night Ranger, and he did the 8-finger tapping thing that only Jeff Watson had done before him. Like
Of
like
course.
like perfectly. And I was in that position before him. I was in Night Ranger for a year, and that's how we met. He called me to ask me how to play the Night Ranger stuff,
Okay.
and asked me some questions about the riffs and stuff. And I didn't do the damn 8-finger thing. You got to be kidding me.
Yeah, Joel's definitely one of the best around. And like I said, there's been no shortage of good guitarists in Whitesnake playing with Coverdale.
He gets the best. He does his research, and Joel was a great choice for sure.
Absolutely. So I want to talk about Winger for a second before we get out of here because I don't want to take up too much of your time today. So
That's okay. We can go longer if you want. It's fine.
perfect. All right. Well, strap in for 2 hours. Here we go.
Oh, well, now listen, you.
Uh, so I know this past December you said that Winger had finished some new songs for a new record. Can you kind of give an update of where you guys are at?
Yeah, sure. It's been a little slower than normal because there's kind of a different recording situation than we're used to. Kip has set the bar incredibly high and has thrown out ideas. We started with ideas that we thought were good, and then as the writing progressed, those became not as cool as the ones that we were doing. So we've written like 16 songs,
Okay.
and now we're up to 8 that we're that we're keeping. The other, I can't do the math, 8, you'll probably never hear. But, we've got all kinds of stuff. I mean, it sounds like a Winger record for sure. It's just that, Kip, like I said, he's set the bar much higher than normal. He told me that when I make a guitar riff for him, after the first 3 chords, he doesn't want to know what the next 3 chords are going to be.
Okay.
So it's got to be unpredictable and progressive, yet something that he can sing over. So there's a very small window of acceptability in my riffs, which is good for Black Swan. So.
Oh yeah, I mean, if we get more songs like "Big Disaster" and "Johnny Came Marching Home," Kip can deny those songs all day if we get more stuff like that.
Yeah, it's more, Winger's more of a progressive thing, really. Even though people know us for 17, if you listen to our records, there's a lot going on. Even 17, nobody plays right. It's a
Hey,
kind
dude,
of
it's tricky, man.
It's a tricky riff. It's a tricky riff.
It was one of the songs that in our set for that we would pull out sometimes in Whiskey A Go Go that I had to learn for that, and I remember learning that song, and I was like, okay, this is way more difficult than I was anticipating when I sat down to do it.
It's a tough one, just because I hear everything on upbeats. If you watch me playing live, my head will be going up while everyone else's head is going down. So I just hear things on upbeats. So to me, the lick in 17 is very natural, but I understand how it's very unnatural for someone who doesn't hear the stuff like me.
You run into those situations a lot being in a band where you might come up with something, a riff, and you go to show it to somebody, and, just because you came up with it, it does seem a little more natural.
I think it's always that way, for someone who comes up with a riff. It might be a little weird for someone else to play, but there's plenty of Lynch solos that I can't even touch. I mean, he's got his own style. There's no way I can do, his weird vibrato where he shakes from, like he wiggles his finger from 1 fret to 2 frets away, incredibly fast. I mean, that's super cool. He has his own style, and so learning other people's stuff is definitely strange when you have your own set ways.
Very much so. So we mentioned there has been a lot of guitarists in Whitesnake. So what was your approach coming into that band, having to learn so many different guitar parts that different guys had recorded?
Well, luckily there was Doug Aldrich, who was great at doing the psych stuff. So I got to do the Steve Vai stuff, which is way more up my alley. He's a tapper, and with the finger tapping I'm talking about. And so it worked out pretty well. I'm not so great at the psych stuff, but I did when Doug left, I said, if we're doing Crying in the Rain, I'm playing Crying in the Rain, because I want to stab at playing that solo. That is one of the greatest rock solos of all time.
Absolutely.
It's like a Guitar Hero solo that goes on forever, and it just keeps building. Like, I am the greatest guitar player alive. You know what I mean? So that one, I really, really had to work on that to learn it, but I learned it. It's very difficult solo. So that's the closest to John Sykes I ever got.
That's awesome. It's so cool hearing stuff like that with such accomplished guitar players like yourselves, about where, you still might sit down to learn something and it might be a little intimidating at first. And you mentioned Doug Aldridge. He just did an interview the other day where he talked about playing Gates of Babylon with Dio for the first time. And he's like, I was scared as shit playing that solo for the first time.
Oh, I would be too. Yeah, sure.
Well, very cool, man. One last thing before we get out of here. If I'm not mistaken, you put out a solo record on Frontiers last year, which was a guitar album. Do you have any plans to do another solo record like that here in the near future?
If it takes off, if there's a giant smash, no, I don't think so. It's instrumental. People, I guess fans of mine and friends and everybody have been asking me to do that for a long time. I put a demo out. Long story short, when Winger broke up in '93, I figured I'd be like a Joe Satriani kind of artist and do like
Okay.
instrumental music, and so I made a demo and sent it out to record companies, and no one was interested. They wanted stuff with vocals. So I sold it on my website, and it sold like hotcakes. And I'm getting all these letters of people going, "You need to do this music. This is the best music you've ever done. This is what you should do." And I kind of put it on the back burner for 15 years until COVID hit, and it was sitting on my computer. And I said, "Why don't I just release this?" And that's how that came to pass. And so
Okay.
I did it just so it's out there. So here's this side of me, a view from the inside. Here's me naked, just playing guitar. It's
Perfect.
just soloing and, the best of what I can do on guitar. And it's nice music. The thing I like about it is it's not your typical instrumental record that's all whittly whittly whittly. It's actually listenable songs, which is all the reviews are saying that it's very listenable. And so I'm very happy about that.
Well, very cool. All right, man. I don't want to take up too much of your time. Like I said, I do appreciate you so much coming on here and giving me a little bit of your time today to talk about all this stuff. Before we get out of here, let everybody know where they can go to check out all your stuff online at.
Oh, you can just get my new album. I think if you like guitar, you'll like it, and even if you don't, you might like it. It's nice melodies and stuff. And then I'm giving guitar lessons at official Reb Beach at gmail.com. You can email me and set up an hour lesson, but I won't be doing it until March 15th because I'm going to Kips on Monday to finish that darn Winger record.
Perfect. There you go. Awesome. Well, Reb, thank you so much for coming on here and hanging out with me for a little bit. Me and you will be able to say goodbye off air. I'm going to go ahead and end the show. I appreciate everybody tuning in today. I will see everybody Sunday with Mr. Pete Merluzzi, who was the tour manager for Velvet Revolver and Slash for a few years. So I can't wait to pick his brain about some stories from those days. But thank everybody for tuning in. Reb, thanks for being here, man.
My pleasure, Brandon. It's really fun talking to you.